Hey, I'm Jamey from Stonemaier Games, and today I'm going to talk about my favorite mechanism in the game, Fairy. This is a lighter game, maybe the starter or a final game at game night that looks like this. I think it's a rather beautiful game. Looks like there's another game on the table here. This is unrelated to Fairy, but this is the scorecard in Fairy that also demonstrates what you're doing in the game. Other cards look like this. There's these beautifully illustrated cards by Sai Betbu. And in this game, you're trying to get to 24 points or get beyond 24 points before anybody else, or you go through the entire deck of cards and have the most points. The game uses hand signals to tell other players what you're doing. So the whole game is just cards, and even one of your hands is occupied holding this scorecard to show what your current score is. So you can see this player currently has 0 points because their thumb is over the 0. You can go negative in this game. So the entire game is everyone on the count of 3 shows a hand motion. So they're going to show their hand pointing up. They're going to show their hand pointing down. They're going to show their hand like this, or they're going to do this motion. This is the most fun. I'll talk about that in a second. But basically, they're trying to guess whether the next card revealed will be higher than the current card, lower than the current card, equal to the suit of the current card, or a fairy card, one of 3 fairy cards in the deck. And you can see there are a couple different colors in the game, and they're numbered. The oranges are numbered 1 through 7, the greens are numbered 8 through 14, and the blues are numbered 15 through 21. So say there's a 2 on the board. So we have a 2. We know what that information is. Most likely the next card revealed will be higher than a 2. So most players will point up and they'll get 2 points. If you get it incorrect, if somehow a 1 comes out in that case, you lose 1 point. So there isn't a big sacrifice when you guess incorrectly, because the whole game is just guessing based on the information that you have, which is the current number and what numbers have already been revealed. Also, you might see that maybe a bunch of orange cards and a bunch of blue cards have already been played, and so you might think, okay, there's a lot of green cards left in the deck. I'll go equals. I'll say that the next card shown will be the same color as the previous card. So you might do that. But the most fun, I would say, is the fairy. And this is the biggest gamble in the game because you don't really know when the fairies are going to appear. There are 3 fairies in the game, 1 per color. And they're cards. Let's see if we have a fairy card. They have a little gold foil on them. They look a little bit different. Let's see in this image. I don't. Actually, this is one. This is one. This is the gold foil. Yeah, you can see the fairy right here. Here's the fairy. Instead of a number, there's a fairy. There's a little bit of gold foil on the card. They look fun. They shine a little bit when they come out. They are pretty similar to the other cards. I think they maybe could have differentiated them a little bit more. But there are these 3 fairy cards. And so at certain times in the game, you might decide, I'm going to go for a fairy. I think the next card will be a fairy. And so you do this hand motion. And if you get it right, you get 7 points. So it's a big jump in points. And if you get it wrong, it's still only -1 point. So I found myself using this as a catch-up mechanism because I got behind early in the game. So I went after a lot of fairies. I think I got 1 correct, and I didn't get the others correct. But the 2 things about this game is, one, it's fun to guess that there might be a fairy, and it's fun to hit it or to miss it together with other players. It's even though you're competing against these players, you're looking around the table at a bunch of people going like this, hoping for a fairy, and then it doesn't come up. And it feels good if you all got it. It actually doesn't feel bad if you miss it too, because you were in it together. But also just the idea that you're using hand signals to indicate your choice, your action for the turn, essentially, is something unique. I don't think I've seen that in many other games at all. Rock, paper, scissors does it, but are there many modern games that use hand motions to signal what you're doing, what you're choosing? And not many that I can think of. And it's fun to also see that people, when they make these hand motions, they tend to also make facial expressions too, unrelated to the game. Like, you don't need to make a facial expression in this game, but when you're holding up your hand as a fairy, oftentimes you'll find, I don't know, people make the silliest expressions when they do this. So I think it's really neat that the designer decided to explore this design space of hand signals, because other things happen. This element of togetherness, these facial expressions that are outside the game, but also become a part of the shared experience of the game. That I think was really neat. So yeah, those are my thoughts on my favorite mechanism in Fairy, which is really these hand motions that you're using to express your preference, your choice, your action for that turn. Everything else is a little bit ancillary to that, but still fun as a filler or a game to end the game night with. So yeah, those are my thoughts on fairy. Let me know if you can think of any other games where players have to use a hand signal to indicate something to the other players. I'd love to hear your thoughts about that and other examples in the comments below. Thanks.